नमस्ते, वेलकम टू मूड्स ऑफ भारत। आज के जो हमारे गेस्ट हैं वो एक दिन भारत आए और फिर भारत के ही होकर रह गए। He has also written a book in quest of a guru. Today we are going to talk about spirituality, Sanatan Dharma and his journey in Bharat. Let's get into a conversation with Ananda Mathews ji. Namaste.
Namaskaram.
How are you?
Oh, very, very happy. All day happy.
We are happier because you're there in the studio. So welcome to Moods of Bharat and tell us, what brought you to Bharat? Where are you from? And what made you stay in this beautiful nation?
Okay, well, pranam to you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Pranam.
And pranam to all the viewers. I'm here by the grace of my Guruji. His name is Divine Colonel Ashok Kini.
Wow.
So he's empowered me to be on these kind of interviews, to write a book entitled In Quest to Guru, Modern Approach to Sanatan Dharma, which was just released by the governor of Maharashtra.
Wow.
And to travel the country, satsang and lectures, speaking to, the youth and all spiritual seekers about the path to lasting happiness and the modern approach to Sanatan Dharma.
Great.
Thank you.
It sounds so beautiful coming from your mouth. Sanatan Dharma. It's really sounds very beautiful. So you've written this book in quest of Guru. First, I want to know your experience of traveling across the country and how was it interacting with the youth?
Should I answer your first question first?
Yes, please.
So my name is Ananda Mathews, and before my transformation in Bharat, I was known as Matthew Shaki. So I'm born in California, in a small village, and I had a quite challenged and a little troubled childhood, like many people do. Though I thought I was unique for a time, and as destiny, which we'll probably talk about in this podcast, pushed me, the divine plan pushed me into being in cinematography in the land of Hollywood first, and that gave me the opportunity to travel the world, and that ignition happened from childhood through my career, a quest for truth and knowledge, a quest for the answers to the meanings of life, which we all have. Though at that time I thought I had some unique challenges, unique questions for life. You would have thought I had the perfect life, traveled around the world, decent job, decent experiences, decent income, but I was not happy. I was looking for, that inner peace that some call, that lasting happiness. And originally, my travels took me to undivided Bharat, Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And on that shoot, there was 50% foreign crew, 50% Bollywood crew. Okay. And there was a lot of familiarity with culture. Everything seemed familiar to me. A lot of brotherhood, that global family. And originally, that journey took me into mainland Bharat, where I started to work in Bollywood.
Okay, wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
As a cameraman,
Okay.
my career actually blossomed in Bharat. But as I started to work in Bollywood, I saw the youth, and actually most people were disconnected from their cultural roots. A lot of problems were there. The answer I saw was in their cultural roots. So they were uninterested to get connected. I thought that's very interesting. And I actually was going through my own challenges. Even at that time when life looked perfect, I was having, say, mental churning, spiritual churning, physical churning. And through the pandemic, I got into a bit of seva, ration distribution in the chawls. A friend's father, one day I told him I went to the market in Bandra West, Mumbai. The same people who used to ask for money, they're asking for food. I had some food, but I didn't have so much money at that time. And so as I shared what I had, it's not a giving, it's a sharing. I felt relief from my own suffering, my own concerns, my own worries, my own depression. And he told me, my friend's father said, the only way you'll get out of your suffering is to serve others selflessly. Are you ready to do it? Pandemic is a perfect opportunity. Corona is a perfect opportunity. So now I've been in Bharat for several years. And at that time, almost 10 years had gone by. And I thought that I had the perfect life and the life was, going down like everyone did. But I saw the people that I started serving in the chawls on the streets of Bandra, Santa Cruz, also Carr, Bandra East, and those chawl areas. They were not interested about these worries of people outside, the air they breathe, the job, going back to life as it was normal. They were grounded in the moment of now. And actually, our Atma, our soul, is now. The mind and all this chatter is age piche. It always is ahead and behind, is looking into the future, looking into the past. So I learned a lot from them in that seva, which wasn't even my idea. I was doing it a little bit selfishly for my own relief. But I saw, even when you would share ration with one family, they would immediately look who else needed it. What other home had more family members? So I started to see that they had no worries. If they had one meal or 3 meals, they were in the moment of now, and that sense of community and taking care of each other. That seva was a way of life for them. So as the pandemic ended, the first lockdown opened, the shoots were in Delhi, not in Mumbai. So that journey took me to Mumbai from America, then from Mumbai to Delhi. And all of a sudden, as work was getting back to normal, shoots were happening, I realized that I was missing that all-day selfless service to humanity, wanting nothing in return, which we call seva. And I realized that I am actually not special. Anyone can do that seva. All my concerns were everyone's concerns. My worries of life, everyone's worries. And after the pandemic, I started to do the seva, and I started to do the work. And the churning I was going through, physical, mental, spiritual, led me to an Ayurvedic doctor in Delhi. She looked at me and said, what you came for, that peace you're searching for, I can't give it to you, but I know a man who can. He's my Guruji, but he's in normal clothes serving humanity. His name's Divine Colonel Ashok Kini, and he used to serve the president of Bharat, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And he is very hard to get in touch with. He rejected me over and over, but something was murmuring inside me, I have to meet him for the answers to the questions of life. Okay. So I knocked his door many, many times, and eventually he agreed to meet me, and he only gave me a 30-minute notice. And at that time, I was staying in Greater Noida with a friend's family, and he was in South Delhi. So I ran to meet him. Something was pushing me there. And actually, the transformation which I have gone through in Bharat, which this book describes, the transformation for all of us on the journey of human life, happened on that night that I met Divine Colonel Ashok Kini.
Wow.
This body fell down. It was done. Colonel Kini was there that night. So he has given me this life. He's put me into this body, and he gave me the mission to serve, taking Bharat's ancient knowledge, packaging it in easy, digestible, bite-sized form in modern words for the global youth and any spiritual seeker, so they could understand their foundational roots of Sanatan Dharma, which is universal for all of humanity.
That is so beautiful, this entire journey that you just mentioned. It feels really very interesting, very beautiful. What you said is absolutely true, that we ourselves have lost that trust in our own roots. I think we cannot blame it completely ourselves. Definitely centuries of colonization, first Islamic and then British, did take away all of it from us, and we kind of lost the self-confidence, what we were. So yes, we, the youth of Bharat, does not really look at ourselves as something great. We do not go back to our own roots, the things that you said, Sanatan Dharma, its values, which is universal. But we keep questioning that. And somewhere in that entire questioning and entire, agitation against ourselves, we have lost that true Bharat that you found, which is so beautiful.
It's a beautiful point that you said. You said that a lot of the culture has been diluted from, say, outside forces. Well, there has been a lot of invasion in Bharat, but they never could understand the Gyaan or take the Gyaan. They were after the Gyaan, but they didn't know it. They were taking the material wealth. But what's really, really interesting and applicable to the whole world is that Sanskrit was worldwide. Vedic Science was worldwide. So actually, the concepts of Sanatan Dharma, Vedic Science, is universal. It is everyone's cultural root. It is everyone's spiritual root. So when we talk about modern approach to Sanatan Dharma, which is applicable today in Kali Yuga, it doesn't apply just here in Bharat. It applies to the whole world.
True. In fact, going by this thing which you just said, that they were behind the Gyan, it is said that China wanted to acquire Ladakh, even though our Prime Minister, like at that time, thought that it's a barren land. Why they wanted to acquire, a lot of books say that because they realized that people in Bharat have conquered death and they wanted to capture those people. So they kept invading Ladakh. Some books say that. I don't really know. But they could never find those people. Obviously, if somebody has reached that level in spirituality, you can't trap them, or you can't, restrict them to one thing. Okay, coming to your book, what is it about? I think it talks all about, I am yet to read it. So it talks about spirituality, which is my favorite topic. And I would want to know, how do you see spirituality? What has been your journey and everything about the book?
Everyone is actually spiritual. Everyone is on a journey to understand the purpose of this life, and they're searching for some truth and knowledge, just like I was. So a real big theme of the book is, if I can transform, being born abroad, come back to my cultural roots, adopt Sanatan Dharma, and then guide others through a modern approach to Sanatan Dharma for really permanent happiness, those Vedic principles that apply to all of us, everyone can also transform and see seva is the key part of life. So actually, my Guruji asked me to write this book. At first, it was, you could say, an exercise. And later, we started seeing that what we had been experiencing in 3 years of psycho-spiritual counseling by my Guruji's side, that my problems were everyone's problems. Everyone that was coming for that psycho-spiritual counseling, which is 20% psychology, 80% spirituality, because my Guruji, he actually specializes in solving the problems for the people that the doctor, the advocate, the astrologer, the pundit have some issue fully resolving. So I was tutored and learned by his side. And we saw that Ananda Mathews' problems are all the people's problems. But this fresh knowledge, and also the modern approach to Sanatan Dharma, which can bring happiness all day long, was applicable to all people. And only Sanatan Dharma has an answer to all the challenges of life, whether it be conflict, war, famine, any issue of life, even interpersonal. It's there in Sanatan Dharma. So as we also saw that there was a slight disconnection with most of the youth of our nation, which is 40 and below youth, my Guruji asked me to write this book. And he said, why don't you give a small amount of the journey of this boy from Matthew Shaki to Ananda Mathews, just to communicate to everyone that they all have the same journey, the same challenges in life, but anyone can overcome those challenges. And then through the book, on the principles that we were using in counseling and a lot of cases that we saw, talk about this foundation, time and life, and the value of it. To get the human birth, we go through so many births, and the next human birth is not guaranteed. So if we get the human birth, we should be jumping for joy, enjoying every moment. But we saw most people, if you ask them, are you happy from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep at night? Well, they say, a little upper, a little Nietzsche, and always we kind of have our happiness going down. So this book is a way to guide the everyday spiritual seeker who's searching for, why do things happen in life? What is the purpose of my everyday experiences? Also the global youth, which are our leaders of tomorrow. If we want to have the M.O.B, in several years' time, we have to awaken the youth today. So this book uses modern language, but still connects back to the Sanskrit. And in counseling, and now through this book, we have gotten cases spoken to us that suicide averted, depression reduced, drug and alcohol dependency or addiction overcome. So we started saying, this has nothing to do with us. This is not our Gyaan, it's everyone's Gyaan. And all day long, my Guruji is sitting in Delhi and traveling the whole world, and he has a queue lining up at his door. People are really searching. So actually, we don't need to go after the seeker. The seeker, when they're ready, they gravitate toward that knowledge, which is divine knowledge. It is not any human's knowledge. So as we started seeing the reviews of the book, as we started seeing the positive impact on lives, we realized that we didn't write the book. We only surrendered and channeled it. And we talk a lot in the book about the power of surrender, overcoming our desires, overcoming our expectations, and what best we can do in that limited time and life. Our breath is moving. This is time. We have fixed number of breaths in our life. We can monitor it, but we cannot change that. We do have the ability to say, take one breath where usually that pulse of breath would be 5 breaths. And then this heartbeat is the life. So we talk a lot in the book that seva is the sabse pehle, first part of life. That is the best we can do in this limited time in life, because life is about its value, not its length. And the measure and success of life is happiness in the moment of now. Since everyone's life goals, everyone's life action is for happiness, whether they go to the mall, they go to the coffee shop, they go on a holiday, they meet their friends, they're hoping to be happy. The happiness is not lasting. So this is just a guide to the program named as life, an easy path to lasting happiness using a modern approach to Sanatan Dharma and those beautiful Vedic principles for joyful living, which is the cultural, spiritual foundation for the entire world.
You know, you said a very beautiful line. I was born in California and then I came back to my roots. So does that mean, I'm asking a very personal question, does that mean you have self-realized and you know the soul and you've reached it? Okay.
Very interesting. People talk about the path to enlightenment. They talk about moksha, manifestation, spirituality. A lot of times these terms are a little misunderstood, which is another reason for this book and quest to Guru, to make reaching the divine, we could label it as that, and also you could say enlightenment, which means moving the soul, a little bit easier. A lot of people, even when you start to speak to them about positive living or spirituality, they say that maybe next lifetime, maybe later. They think they have to go to the mountain or shave their hair or give up their belongings. So in our traditional scripture, in any culture, it talks about basically you can surrender and you can detach is one way. Another way is bhakti, devotion to God or Guru. We try to make it a slightly simpler way. You wake up in the morning, you say divine in any name or form. God, Ma, divine. We love divine because it applies to all cultures and people. Thank you for one more day of human life to serve you. You give me what you think is good for me and empower me to fulfill the purpose for which I came to earth. Each one of us have a purpose. There's a divine destiny of service for every Atma, first lifetime. But a lot of times we're meeting the people in seva because they didn't finish that in the first lifetime. That, along with karma, which we'll talk about later, is something they have to get into. It is a divine destiny of service to humanity, is a service to the divine, and it can be paired with their job. It can be paired with their everyday life. We always tell people, who will you serve today? There's so many problems outside your door. Just open it. It's not about giving food or money. It's our niyat, our time, our intention, our unconditional love. So this applies to all people, and we've actually come up with a few passwords for this training program called as life. Life is only a school for the soul. In that time and life, the best we can do is to apply these passwords for life. And we call them this because in any program you need some passwords to operate, correct? So we try to make that Sanatan Dharma very simple. That quote-unquote enlightenment very simple to synchronize life. Because life is only about experience and feeling at the end of the day. So you have to be able to experience and feel that for yourself. Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, president of Bharat, he always used to say, small aim is a crime. Aim big in life. And we took that further, not for yourself, for the humanity. So if we think positive, if we speak positive, if we act positive, if we are honest with ourselves first, then we can be honest with others. If we accept the reality of this moment and surrender to it and practice selfless service to humanity, wanting nothing in return, and in that seva, we accept that whatever comes to us is an opportunity, not labeling it good or bad, but seeing it's a gift of divine. We choose how we feel. And these simple principles, which we call the passwords for the program named as life, we can synchronize our life. And then we can follow any cultural faith system, any chosen belief system. But this foundation of Sanatan Dharma will actually streamline our life. It's like getting on the Ganga River and just going with the flow, which a lot of us don't do. We fight the current. We get out at the first ghat and we look at our problems. We'll find 10 more problems. We talk about past and future. And usually we want to find out our future. Going to astrologer, pundit, psychic, giving predictions. And when we meet the people in 2 seconds, we kind of know if they've been to someone asking about their future, because it kind of gets notarized, like being stamped at the notary public at a court. It's very difficult to get them back in the flow. And even in the flow, us as humans, myself included sometimes, we cannot see around the curve of the river. And so we get a little panicky. But our guide, whether it would be a teacher, a master, a guru, an enlightened guru is best, says, no, just go with the flow of life. Take everything that comes to you as an opportunity. Put these positive life, righteous living passwords in, which is the basis of Sanatan Dharma. And when you go around the corner, it'll be better than you can imagine if you surrender and practice that selfless service. So in this way, we feel that everyone can be realized. Everyone can have that enlightenment experience and reach the destination of all souls. I have been blessed to have gone through all of the suffering of humanity in previous lives, to have some knowledge of some lives lived here in Bharat. Many, many lives have been lived. But I've also gone through, that karmic path, that struggle. And it's like going from class 0 at Gangotri down the Ganga. You're supposed to go to class 12. Class 10, you can get a decent life job. Class 12, you can get a better job. And getting master's, PhD is that enlightenment. Most of us humans, many, many lifetimes, we get out on one ghat and we look at the river go by. We want to know our future, change the future. The flow is just there. So I feel if in this lifetime, if I can be transformed, everyone can get transformed, because we need liberation in every life, to go with the flow and not hold on to anything so tight. So if I can be realized and transformed, everyone can. And that is the purpose of this book, maybe this podcast too.
Right. Too many questions coming in my mind as you speak. So one is, Sanatan Dharma for you, how will you define it? Simplifying for the youth, for the viewers. Spirituality and religion. People get a lot confused about what is spirituality, what is religion, and they try to mix it, and they feel, they try to run away from it. No, I don't do this, I don't do that. They kind of feel that it's not cool to be religious or spiritual because they don't understand how the two are different, what spirituality exactly is. And third, you said karma, we'll talk about it later. So these three things are just going in my mind. How do we start? Do you take it?
You can keep me on track remembering all the questions.
Okay, so Sanatan Dharma, let's simplify and make people understand what exactly it is for you. How do you see it?
Perfect. So Sanatan Dharma, what is it? It is a very simple, synchronized way to live a positive, calm, enjoyable lifestyle in harmony with first self, in harmony with our environment, nature, the other people around us, and to enjoy our life. But how to enjoy? This is the question. So why we spoke about passwords to operate in this training program for the soul called life is it's a little bit, life is like a military boarding school. Ever heard of that? Okay. If you're a naughty child in mother's house where we all came from, then your parents might send you to a military boarding school to shape you and to give you some discipline. But they sign a very important document, which is corporal punishment. That means the school can, physically beat the child if need be. So they learn a lot of things there, as we do in life. Life is only for learning. Life was not to go through the discomfort. Life is to learn to do what we should, not what we want. And
That's the key.
yeah. So Sanatan Dharma is giving us a guide in every situation, every aspect of life to righteous, right action, positive action, as I love to call it, in that circumstance. And Sanatan Dharma has the answer when you achieve some things in life. Now what? Because usually we imagine that something will bring us happiness. We say, oh, maybe when I get the next salary, I'll buy some new, furniture for the veranda, a new speaker for the house. So we are actually making an assumption that when we get that, we'll be happy. Whereas Sanatan Dharma says that life is in the moment of now. And you are a generator of energy. And you are a transmitting antenna, transmitting and receiving energy of thought first. Then your words and your deeds and your seva, they also transmit energy, attract similar energy, and it returns to us manifold. So if life in this modern age is about our feeling and experience, then how best to mold that feeling and experience? Sanatana Dharma has the answer, because we are attracting to us everything we experience. I often like to call it karma is the balance of the energy of action, past and present, make our current experience today. But before the karma, we are generating energy. It's transmitting, we're absorbing it through our thoughts, words, and deeds. If we're not a little spiritually strong, that means positivity, then we'll receive energy from so many people, and likewise. So we cannot just say to your viewers today, be positive. But Sanatana Dharma is positive living. So when we start to monitor and be aware of our thoughts first, because it's the foundation of karma, is the foundation of action. I even love to say that thought is a prayer. Thought is an action. Because first there's a thought, then there's an action, or maybe an inaction. So say I see an accident, and I think about doing something to help that person, but I don't. So the inaction actually is an action. I thought I had a negative inaction, and that comes together to make karma. One thought, one action or inaction comes together, it becomes the karma.
I think that's what exactly Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that doing something or not doing something, both are, when you're on the earth, you will do something. And if you're not doing anything, that is also adding to your karma, because you're doing nothing. That nothing is also a karma. So when you're here, do something. Always keep yourself busy with productive things that you do. So yeah, please continue.
Really awesome. You caught something beautiful. A lot of the sevaks that I'm really blessed that move with me, to the meetings, the satsang, the lecture, they sometimes turn to me and they say, hey, were you just saying a sloka? I said, oh, I was, but I was not going to tell the people that. I was just using it in some modern language. But it is the same thing. So you caught that thing. What the Gita says is also what we're saying, is that, be aware of your thoughts. They are attracting things to you, positive and negative. If you have a negative thought, immediately change it to something positive. If you have a negative thing you say, change it. If you have a negative action, do something to counter it. In this way, we dilute the potential positive or negative karma. We cannot transform overnight, but we can start to move our souls on the same path that everyone. So we love to break it down so simply for the global youth that positivity means attracting what you want to come in life. That is to synchronize your life. So if I have positive thinking, positive speaking, positive action, we keep repeating it, and selfless service to others. All of a sudden my karma waits outside, because I'm not supposed to be doing selfless service to humanity. Always looking for someone to help who multiply your happiness over and over, and it cuts the karma. We said balance of the energy of action, past and present, makes our current experience today. So they always say law of attraction, manifestation, but life was actually not about getting what we want, but we can attract a little better than karma in our life. So I often tell in counseling, I have told rapist, thief, murderer, or just the normal human needing a little guidance in life. Yeah, you could just jump in the Ganga River and go. Practice positivity in your thoughts, words, and deeds, and always look to serve. You will reduce your own karmic debt, which I'd like to call EMI, estimated monthly installment, and you will also cut that for the person that you're serving. And you both go to the destination faster. And this is the best we can do in that limited time and life, which is so valuable, which Sanatan Dharma also, our beloved Gita, speaks about.
I think one more thing that you said, that it is about being in the moment, being happy, and enjoying the moment, right? So that's the very reason a lot of times, like not now, past 10 years, we have seen a significant change in the attitudes of people within Bharat and of course outside also. But before that, I remember the times when we were made fun of, you guys have so many festivals. Now I understand, because we celebrated each day. We tried to celebrate each day, because being here in this physical form, in this experiencing it here, is the most beautiful thing if you take it in the right direction.
Beautifully said.
So, that's the reason we have so many festivals. We enjoy everything, be it Shiva or Krishna or Ram, we enjoy everybody. Coming to that, it reminds me, we just spoke before this podcast started. We started shooting something about Ram Mandir. You have been talking to people. So I want to know what about Ram Mandir you have been talking. Then I'll come to spirituality. Okay.
Sure. Beautiful thing that you said is that, those outside of Bharat, they often look from the outside in, and they say that, a lot of festivals are there, which has everything to do with Ram Mandir as well. Even the world is asked, why Ram Mandir? We actually are not celebrating a festival per se. We're practicing Vedic science, which is the spiritual foundation for all of humanity. Vedic science means the divine descendants of knowledge from the beginning of this program named as life till today is descending for all people of all faiths and religions, irrespective of where you were born. So if you are born in Bharat, you've done something very well in the past life. If you get to visit or even work here, or even associate with that cultural root of all humanity, then something very, very charging and recharging for the soul. So when we look at Vedic science in our festivals, we have to say that, we are understanding the energy of the universe, this training school of life that we are in, and grounding into the moment of now, being present in the now, which Vedic science teaches us. Now is the Atma, is the soul. It is the only jurisdiction of the soul right now. And when we are grounded here, we don't worry about past or future, only now. Our mind kind of stands still when we're so grounded in the moment. You talked about, actually China trying to get people that had, won over the death. What is the real winning over death? Being present here in the moment of now with self, practicing positivity and service, but also understanding what human life really is, which we're all searching for. If today, you and I, or our viewers, if we can cut the fear of death, 50% of life's worries, they fly away completely. So when we go, say, for a Ganeshka Puja, any other of our celebrations, as they call them, we are actually looking at the science of that. Science. So very, very interesting. You talked about Ram Mandir. When we understand that a lot of our deities are enlightened spirits who took human form, they had the power of surrender and the power of seva to such an extent they became zero. They surrendered their own wants, wishes, dreams, desires, got connected to the divinity, and channeled that divinity forward. So when we look at, say, a place that is very auspicious, why is it auspicious? Because of the vibration in that area. Usually an enlightened spirit in human form used to sit or be born in a north-south high magnetic polarity area, whether it be a Gram Devata, a Kul Devata, or one of our Ishta Devatas. So they would sit in that area. Now, when they would leave the physical body, sometimes there was samadhi there, sometimes not. But what they would do to build up that energy in that area is already we have north-south polarity, magnetic polarity. Now we have all the positive energy that has been generated and has come down from their selfless service, because there's an energy signature to all our thoughts, words, and deeds. It comes into this chair. It goes into the ground. Take Ram Mandir, for example. So our Lord Ram, who is avatar because of the faith and belief of the people. Avatar is that enlightened being in human form who went to PhD, totally connected to the divine, channeling that energy. And then because of their service, faith and belief of the people combined, and they were seen as an avatar that could not take the next birth, because their energy, their Chaitanya was always there to serve the people. Ram is only that for us. Only that. So this is Ram's birthplace. But on the ground of Ram Mandir, so much selfless service to humanity by Ram throughout his journey, but also others that were serving, his example, was in that place. So the ground has become very positive. The ground, which is a deity, it is, Mother Earth is a deity. We have to respect it as that. So it carries that negative or positive vibration, that energy signature. Now, even if you have a mandir go down and a shopping mall is built in that, the ground will carry that positive energy. But certain things in our Vedic science we had done on that spot. We had promised to keep that energy present. How do we do it? That is our scientific arti. Scientific arti is keeping the divine energy present, which becomes very unique to that spot. We promise to keep the Agni burning on the site of Ayodhya before any foreign invasions. I'm getting a lot of energy right now. Then we promised that we would do our scientific Vedic science arti to keep the energy that had been originally brought down behind the murti. The outside of Bharat, they see murti, they see idol, and they actually don't understand that has nothing to do with that piece of rock, for example, or piece of stone or piece of metal. It is actually that we have done a Vedic science to call down divine energy. It is combined with the faith and belief of the people and become a unique entity to that place. And all of a sudden, if we have been doing for centuries, we were doing the scientific arti to maintain that, and then a foreign invasion came. Still the energy is there, but once you start doing negativity on that ground, they had hung Hindus there. They had cut the necks of goats there. So much negativity and violence had been done on that ground. So the actual ground, which has nothing to do with any religion, becomes angry. It doesn't matter that there had been a masjid on that spot. Doesn't matter. But actually is the negative action and negative energy which made the ground angry and actually went against our promise to the enlightened ones who guided us, Lord Ram, to maintain the positive energy of that place. So coming back to Ram Mandir after so many years, and it is not about building a mandir, the whole world should understand. It is about actually changing the energy signature in that place. To make you understand, I'll just tell you a very quick story. My Guruji, he was traveling with the president of Bharat all around the world, and they were actually collecting soil for a spiritual garden in Rashtrapati Bhavan. So he was in Russia at the site of World War II, St. Petersburg. There's a big karmic event there, because only that kind of violence is a karmic churning. You cannot harm another person unless it is written for them. This is war. This is karma being worked out. He put his hand in the soil, and he, as you said, is quite realized. He has the power of surrender. He's connected with the divine. He's channeling the energy for the benefit and welfare of others. He put his hand in the soil. He passed out. There's so much suffering. They said 1 million people, 1 million people, over 8 lakh people had expired on that ground. So the ground had carried the energy of those karmic events, that pain and suffering, because the representation of how we leave this physical birth is in that Shava, death. So if you go out in a violent way, it has something to say about the karma. And he was grabbing that in his hand. This is the energy signature. So if you understand that, then go to the site of Ram Mandir. Scientifically, for the people of all humanity, we are removing the negativity, calling down the divine energy again in magnified form. It was always there, but it had been getting diluted because at some point, the people of Sanatan Dharma, they're not really Hindu, they're Sanatani. They were there trying to keep that alive, but they were moved from that site. So we've come back and we started to do those scientific procedures again to call down the enlightened one's energy on that site to keep the Agni burning again and to change that signature in the area. And then people of all faiths are welcome. You can be Muslim, Hindu, Christian, anything. You'll feel the energy there because it's science. It's not religion. And I just end on this. One time with the GSB, God Saraswat Brahmin. Basically, they're Saraswat Brahmins. They have communities all across the country. Originally from Kashmir, most of them spent time in Goa after the Mughals came. Then, as my Guruji's lineage, they moved out all across Bharat. Some in Kerala, some in Karnataka. They're in Delhi. There's a mandir there. So at the time of Lord Ganesha's festival, as they call it, Ganeshka Puja, I had Christian, Sikh, Hindu, Muslim people come. And I knew that Punjabi, and I knew they were practicing real Vedic science to call the energy in that place so it could be felt and experienced by the people. We said life is only about feeling and experience. You can say all you want, but you have to feel it. It's a solo journey for us. In the womb to going up, solo journey. So I asked all the people to come outside the mandir. And I said, when you go inside, you just close your eyes with me. Just remember how you feel now. Then I took everyone to the murti and I said, what do you feel? They all felt some pulsating vibration energy, which if you really focus on this program of life, it's the Om, that vibration for all of humanity, connecting you to what I call the system server of the universe, which doesn't have a name. All the Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, Lord Buddha, Lord Jesus, any enlightened one that used to be in human form is an ambassador of that system server, like Android, iPhone. So they all felt that. The same thing, and people of every faith can be felt at the site of Ram Mandir because we, as a humanity, have changed the energy signature of that place. Faith and belief of the people and that spiritual energy of the enlightened one, Lord Ram, combined, and he is connected to that system server, the one Bhagwan, and now, no matter what faith, you can feel it there.
I haven't heard a more interesting theory, philosophy about the re-establishment of Ram Mandir than what you have explained. It is beautiful. It is amazing. One more thing, what you just said, that places have energy of the people who have sat and done some kind of sadhanas there or months and all. I remember I had gone to Banaras, Kashi, and there was this Brahmin scholar I was talking to, and I asked him that, coming to Kashi or places that are considered as pilgrims for the Hindus, Tirth Sthan to be precise. So you feel different kind of energy, and does it give more power if you do your sadhana at such places? You know what he told me? He said that, why do you want to come to Kashi? Wherever you are living, make that place Kashi. You do your sadhana at that place and make it Kashi. Why do you think that it happens only here? Wherever you live, make it like that. So I think, the way you said Sanatan is just so beautiful, and you can do so much with it if you just open-heartedly understand it. That's what I feel.
I love what you said. And actually, we find that when the book gets close to people, because it's not our book, they start to quote from it. We actually don't need a specific place, a specific time to do that thing. Some people say that the divine in any name or form wears a nice dress. So they want to wear a nice dress and go visit him or her. They say that they take bath 3 times a day, so we should also take bath. But if you simplify your connection, he or she, the divine in any name, is just happy that you came, that you took that time to surrender and connect. When I wake up in the morning, as we guide the people, we say, thank you for one more day of human life to serve you. You give me whatever you want. Do whatever you want in my life. Empower me to fulfill my purpose for living. And I always say, I don't want my own thoughts, words, dreams, hopes, places of movement. You control me. You work through me and around me. I'll take the bliss of that in this life and enjoy our time. Because we are so caught up with life's distractions, we think they're the purpose. When actually, life is about learning to do what we should, not what we want. We only came to clean our dirt, to make little FD, to pay that EMI, serve others selflessly, and enjoy our life. And in that way, Kashi becomes our own home. That is our ashram. That is our place of sadhana. If I could add one beautiful thing, you started to touch on something about science, Vedic science. If you take a map of undivided Bharat, which some people call India, this new Bharat, from Sri Lanka all the way up to the Afghanistan border, going all the way up Nepal, down to Myanmar, what they used to call Burma, into common day Bangladesh, all the way through Pakistan, modern day Pakistan. This is Bharat, undivided Bharat. Now, if you take Vedic science, and the foundation of that is that allopathic medicine, they've mapped the brain. Vedic science already knew it before any scanning methods. Now, they found certain energy centers in the brain. It's like chips in the brain. When you superimpose that on the map of Bharat, as my Guruji guides the people, and later a little more knowledge is descended from the divine to guide them, then you look and you see that all the places of yatra, pilgrimage, all the places where people feel some positive energy, all the places that have really high vibrational mandirs are aligning with those energy centers of the human brain. And you are not you, as people say I. You are soul. So I would say you, soul, are inextricably connected to the divinity, that system server of the universe, without any diversity. It means filtration. Okay. You're sitting here in a pool of water at the very, very front of brain, and you're like that SIM card interfacing with brain. You actually don't need the brain as Atma. There's Atmic vision and there's physical vision. We can have both. That is that realization you were talking about. Okay. But we need to work through the brain. Brain is like processor. The phone has a CPU. This is hardware. We have senses in our body. That's like the sensors in a phone. So when we understand this, we need to activate our neurons. We're only using, say, 3 to 5%, some might say. But there's n number of divine signals ready to descend for anyone. It's all spirituality. Whatever your career chosen by the divine, we didn't choose it, then we can actually surrender, practice this positivity, selfless service, and get connected to the divinity and have divine knowledge descend to help us do our everyday sadhana, which is our work. Whether we're a housewife, whether we're a doctor, a lawyer, whether we're a Naryopanivala, anything, there's an abundance of knowledge. And going to these centers of high vibration, which are only in undivided Bharat, it starts activating parts of the brain, which lets divine signals descend. One way to understand it very quickly, many people go to Goa, correct? I also live in Goa. My Guruji has sent me there to make a home for others who would come to take the positive energy. Now, Goa is very, very unique in two ways. There's hundreds of kilometers of coastline in Bharat, correct? Why are they going to Goa? People say, oh, maybe a little more open culture, oh, the beach, but there's a lot of beaches. So when you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't have the non-veg, and you move away from those party centers of Goa, a little more into the interior, Goa starts to awaken one part of the brain spiritually, starts activating those neurons. This is why people are drawn to Goa. They don't know why they're going to Goa. Why not Karnataka? Why not Tamil Nadu? Why not Maharashtra beaches? They come there and they have an opportunity. All of life is about opportunity. Living is the opportunity. You come to Goa, and if you keep yourself pure and clean, you move a little bit away from those negative environments. My Guruji always says that there's clean water to swim in. Why to swim in dirty water? We don't tell people what to do, what to eat, what to drink. But if they want to know the science of it, you're always talking about spiritual science in some way on your show. you can understand that we will get activated and get some big recharge for the soul if we come to Goa, get to the interiors, or any other place in Bharat where everyone's already going.
Coming to the point that you just said, smoking and drinking, people go to Goa for that, eating non-veg food. I personally always see any kind of intoxication as a way of finding solace. Because we do not take the spiritual path, we need some kind of intoxication to keep ourselves, because we're trying to find something all the time.
We're escaping, running away.
Yes. So, how do you see the people who get intoxicated, like smoking, drinking, or even drugs, like US, lot of other countries, the youth is getting completely spoiled into drugs. Bharat also is not an exception, right? So, you have any message for such people who, put themselves into so much of intoxication, liquor, drugs, anything?
The divine doesn't allow us to tell people what to do. But if they ask like you, we can get into the spiritual science of it. The prana, which is the life force energy in this physical body, which is only a machine, it is not ours, but we are allowed to use it for a limited amount of time. That life force energy, which we can also call jivan, could be understood as a program running this physical body, and it keeps the atma here in the pool of water above the eyes, interfacing with brain. When this machine gets poison into it in any name or form, that jivan, that program, that life force energy gets arrested. It comes down in its intensity a little bit. When people come, even in counseling, they say, should I stop drinking or stop smoking, stop taking recreational drugs, or what about eating non-veg or not? I say, I'm not allowed to tell you what to do, but I can give you a few guidance for it. Because if you're going to climb Mount Everest with a sack of bricks, you can do it, correct? Who am I to tell you can't do it? So religion is a little bit like the food we eat. You can eat anything you want, but certain foods affect this physical body, the machine. It needs very sattvic, very pure kana at only set timings of the day where it doesn't get processed. Likewise, when we're doing something, action, or we are digesting, putting something inside, which is coming from a natural source, but it has been unnaturally manipulated. So everything that you're speaking about, whether it be alcohol, whether it be tobacco, whether it be recreational drugs, or you could say even non-veg, it comes from a natural source, but something has been manipulated in that where it is not compatible to the life force energy of this body. Take alcohol, for example. Ever seen maybe an alcohol or whiskey bottle? It has a second word on it. It says distilled spirit. So very important that when we put something that is a little bit poisonous into this physical machine and that life force energy, that prana, gets reduced, we open the door for other negative energies to come and play with this physical body. Negative energy is everywhere. We won't give it the name, but they're all looking for liberation to be able to take the next birth. And they get relief from their suffering from playing around. So they're always looking to take a little energy, a little relief through other suffering from humans. And when you're not in physical form, you understand the unseen, undefined, hidden power of a physical body mated with Atma. Alcohol, for example. When you look at some bottles, say a whiskey bottle, it will have another word for that alcohol. It'll say distilled spirit. So we have to understand that when we put something which is not compatible with the prana, the life force energy, and it reduces prana in this physical body, it attracts negative energy, which some call spirits. We'd like to not define them, say who they are, where they came from, but they're all looking for some liberation, some relief from their own suffering, hoping that making trouble will give them the next birth. So when we are drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, doing recreational drugs, or even sometimes a lot of non-veg, and this prana is reduced, negative energy gets to come into that open door. First, the energy field around us, which some call aura, which is not a Sanskrit word, but we use it for easy understanding. That energy field around us is quite small when our karma is very negative. It becomes bigger when our karma is positive. The enlightened one serving humanity selflessly may have 10 meters, 15 meters outside. So that negative energy, no matter who you are, whether even if you're a saint reborn and you start drinking, it starts to come and play in that aura because the door opens. First, it touches the aura. It may be able to get inside the aura. It may be able to get next to the physical body. It may be able to get in the physical body. That is why when people are drunk, people say, I don't recognize that person or my friend, because other energies are playing with that physical body. That's why, whether it be mental illness, whether it be intoxication, or other issues with this brain, body, and atma combination, that is why they act what we call funny, because you are not working well when there's 2 atma there, or 3 atma, or 10 atma playing around. So we have to be very, very careful about what we put into this physical body, because anything that is naturally derived but unnaturally manipulated will even spin the mind faster. It's a whole other podcast, what is mind, how to control mind, why should we control mind? But our mind usually with most humans is spinning a lot. So we don't want it to spin faster, right? The thoughts are already moving fast. Now, take for example, non-veg. I said you can climb a mountain with a sack of bricks. Same thing. We don't want people to do anything because we're telling them to do it. It is their own experience. You have to contemplate these things. When you put that, basically, it is that meat is poison. Why is it poison? Because when any physical harm happens to any mammal's body, human, cow, horse, dog, chicken, the organ of the body which is connected to that area which is suffering starts to excrete poison. It happens in the physical human body as well. So if I'm harming you, that's negative action. So I've generated negativity, which is attracting more negativity. In that harm to a living being created by the divine, poison is secreted into that area. Now, you have taken that shava, which is poison, you are actually applying Agni to it, and you're eating that poison inside you, which will make you a little angrier, a little more irritated. And that poison substance stays in your physical body, doesn't get digested, sometimes 7 days, 10 days. It sits there, poisoning. So same thing happens with this physical body. When harm is done to it, poison gets secreted in that area. And when a shava, the physical death happens, the entire body gets poisoned. Why? So we don't bury the body. What's the science behind that? Because that body, one, the atma, the spirit has left. It can think it can get back inside. 2, it is poison. At the time of physical death, at the time of any harm happening to that body, whether it's a violent death or a calm death, some poison is excreted so that another atma cannot come inside.
Okay.
We have cases, especially in South, where on the funeral pyre at the cremation, they'll sit back up because they have not put water around that funeral pyre. Ram Nam Satya Hai, Ram Nam Satya Hai. We're putting water, which is actually divinity in motion, is water. It is the conveyor of divinity to protect other spirits, other negative energy from coming in there. Sometimes that man or woman will sit up on the banks of Banaras, on the Ganges, or even, at the cremation place in our village. They pull them off the funeral pyre. They take them home. That body has already been poisoned, and another atma has come. They don't recognize the person at all. This is like some very deep science to understand. When your mother says, don't have chips, or don't have the soda, or, eat this veg food with me. It is not that you should or shouldn't do something, but we said life is about feeling and experience. So for your own happiness and attracting the positive energies to you, which will allow happy living, we should only be in environments and ingesting things that are sattvic, not tamasic, not rajasic, only pure, so that we don't attract negative energy to us. And last point, sabse pehle, number one dharma is taking care of this physical body. We said it is not yours. It is on loan to you. And your karma is judged first on how you treat this physical body. It needs oil every hour, water. It needs food at certain timings. You cannot run any engine all the time. It needs some rest. And only at specific times when the prana naturally reduces and, the physical processes and heat reduce at certain hours. That's why when we eat, say at 11 o'clock at night, it's not getting digested. There's no fire to burn it. This is Ayurvedic Vedic science, which the whole world is understanding that science of Bharat. Everything we're talking about on this podcast, the world is understanding that it is the basis of whatever Gyaan they have. They just have that Gyaan misunderstood. So when we're doing Pat Puja, when we're talking about Ayurveda, when we're talking about, say, addiction, or even ingesting a small amount of any drug, any alcohol, we're actually talking about a scientific way to keep this body running smoothly, to attract only positive energy and have a very smooth, easy life. Everyone wants a happy life, no?
Yeah. I think we can go on and on with these topics coming one after the other. But I'll go on to the other thing so that we stay within the time limits. So, spirituality and religion I had asked you about. So, can we just have some thoughts about how do you distinguish the two, and if you can simplify it for the audience?
Well, my Guruji, Divine Colonel Ashok Kitty, has this foundation, and he's allowed me to take it to a slightly different level so the youth of the world and our nation and all of humanity can understand that there is a police station of religion and there's a palace of spirituality. Wow. Everyone is trying to get to the palace, but when you have to go through the security check to get to that palace, and many places the police say, get out the money, where do you want to go? You have to pay something to, get your file on top. So all of a sudden, you say, I want to go to palace of spirituality. So the security, they say, Roko, you give some 1,000 rupees or whatever, we'll take you to the palace. But you never get there. So actually, religion has an ability to corrupt us a little bit. We spend so much time in that police station, that, holding place of religion, we don't know it's a cell. But the one that has gone to the palace of spirituality, their eyes don't match their physical body. They do not talk about rituals and tradition. They talk about goodness, honesty, righteousness, selfless service to humanity, positivity, the basis of Sanatan Dharma, and using your valuable time and life very well for something very good for the people around you. So this police station, when we pass through it, then actually the aura of that person that's gone to spirituality needs no label, not Baba or His Holiness or Divine One or any title. Actually, the physical person is not important anymore. It's that energy signature that matters, radiating positivity from that person. And through this book and through the podcast with you, us on this shared mission of Seva to Nation Bharat, to make it Vishwaguru, and to the humanity, is only trying to awaken that divine Wi-Fi all the time for the people.
Okay, so the podcast has been full of knowledge, Vedic knowledge, Sanatan knowledge. I want to ask you, after coming to Bharat, did you have any kind of strange, weird, any kind of unusual experience, like anything from as a response from the people or anything that you want to share?
Well, I told you earlier that I spent 3 years in psycho-spiritual counseling, guiding people of all faiths, religions, backgrounds to lasting happiness, and that every problem has a spiritual root. Understanding what is causing that problem, we can solve it. And what's very interesting is in my journey of surrender, a lot of times I see the people who I'm going to meet, who they want me to speak to, and I start to just keep my eyes open for them. So one day, I was at one big darshan. There was probably lakhs of people there, And somehow we were able to walk in and go right to that enlightened one. We got his blessing. On the way out, we saw that boy who I was supposed to meet. He happened to be the son of a BJP leader here in Mumbai, in Maharashtra. And as I was describing just the foundation of Sanatan Dharma to him, and I saw that change start in him, the weight coming off of him of lifetimes, the Atma starting to open up like a flower, I pulled out this and I started talking about Ma Saraswati in modern form. And I told him this was designed by Major General G.D. Bakshi, my mentor for public speaking along with my Guruji, his son. Major General G.D. Bakshi's son has designed this. But the actual boys who painted all this beautiful artwork, including Ma Saraswati, are from our northeastern states in Bharat. And through working on this book, we opened up their, Atma to understand that your tribal culture in Northeast is also Sanatan Dharma. Your, tribal science, tribal medicine is Vedic science. So it's universal. Ma Saraswati is only a flow of knowledge. This podcast is a flow of knowledge, not for you and me, for the humanity.
Right.
So we taught this boy from Manipur, his name is Karijan Mongpri, and he learned through doing this that he was channeling the divine to do this, and his culture, which he's very, very, firm about, is that Sanatan Dharma. It is not something that came from a foreign land, that they gave them rice, a house, education, and said that you cut your cultural root and you go into this chosen religion. The spirituality of a person and the chosen belief system is completely different. Religion is like the food that you eat. You can eat any food. We do not define that food. Certain food will affect you. We spoke about this. But actually, we cannot force anyone to do that. But we should also respect our cultural roots, which is Vedic and Sanatan. Then you can take any religion, wear any clothes. Like the man who may have been born Catholic or may decided to be Catholic. If you put on a dhoti or a sari for a moment, your Atma wants to take that pulsation of your cultural roots. You'll feel blissful. Then you'll wear pants, which were not there during, your ancestors' time. You can wear that. And religion and spirituality, it's like religion is an illusion. There is no Christian, Muslim, Hindu. It's all made by the humans. There's only one religion. It is humanity. And our Atma, this program called life, was designed to actually have us be in bliss all day long. And how to be in happiness all day long has not been defined by anyone till date. Through this book, we're trying to guide people on that path to lasting happiness.
Great. Awesome. So with this note, I will say thank you so much for coming to the studio. And thank you for this amazing, beautiful podcast with Moods of Bharat. I hope you had a good time explaining so many beautiful things to our audiences. So thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
So that was Ananda Mathews ji for us. अगर आपको ये पॉडकास्ट अच्छा लगा हो तो प्लीज़ लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब करें, बेल आइकन पर क्लिक करें ताकि जब हमारा नेक्स्ट पॉडकास्ट रिलीज हो आपको पता चल जाए. थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग मूड्स ऑफ भारत. नमस्ते.